Okay, just some information about me. Spent over 25 years in the field with automotive and the aerospace industry, as well as being with Swoosh as a reseller of Siemens NX CAD software. I've done instructing, mentoring, and troubleshoot any sort of issues with NX that you may have. So NX has introduced stage modeling, and for guys that do a lot of manufacturing processes, they're trying to figure out a way to build this. So with the stage modeling application, you're able to create and modify parts based off of the finished product. It's a very nice interface that Siemens has built into this. So some things that I would like to have you think about as I work through this is reviewing your NX stage modeling is what are some of the issues that you're currently having with manufacturing process from the model and how it's being controlled. Is there a disconnect between each manufacturing processes that you have inside of that model? And how do you currently handle those updates between all of those models? So with NX stage modeling, you could rapidly define the manufacturing process between each of those parts that you currently have, and you're going to be able to update those quickly. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So jumping into NX, as I work through this, this does have some PMI information, so that's all the GD&T information. Also, as you can see from my history here, it's just a JT file that was brought in with some deleted faces. So as I work through each of the views, you can see I got some PMI information that's built into this file. So jumping into stage modeling, I'm going to go into applications, and it's going to put me right into an environment for stage modeling. So I can go ahead and start setting up my different types of stages. In this case, my step is 6 here, and I can go ahead and give it a name that makes sense to me. All right, so it created my model here, and you can see from my stage modeling navigator, I do have 6 different models that I can go ahead and start creating here. So I'm going to generate a link based off of my first initial product, and this is similar to the wave geometry linking. So anytime the finished product is updated, it's going to permeate and propagate all the way down through each one of these stage modeling files here. So I'm just giving this a name that makes sense to me. And I'm going to go ahead and manipulate the model for this particular stage here. All right. So there's my stage 1. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go into modeling and maybe use groupings of faces. So if I select the face there, we can go ahead and group those together, and I can later come back and do another operation in here, maybe using synchronous, and I can go ahead and delete those out if I wanted to. But in this case, I want to be able to reuse some of the PMI inside of there too. So I'm going to grab my, let's take a look here, my datums, feature control frames, and add that into this process. Okay, so when I go to select the part, it will highlight it in the master files or the parent file. Okay, so you can see that from one to the next. All right, and as I highlight it in the navigator, I'm able to see that on the screen also. So just some PMI information that you might need to know for that process. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then for my next step here, let's go ahead down to stage 2, make that active. So it'll give me another window. So there's my 2 different views, and then my third one that I'm going to go ahead and link back to my first linked body, because maybe in this process I need to remove an operation. So using some of the synchronous stuff, I'm going to change my selection option here so I can grab those openings and delete them for this particular stage of my process of this part. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and change the colors of the opening here, and so each stage somebody's going to be able to recognize what's happening here, and I can go ahead and add in PMI for that particular opening also. So let's go ahead and modify the name here. Okay, and as I work through this, let's go ahead and change this to, that looks, make sure, okay, that looks relatively good. We'll do stage 2 on that, so it makes sense for somebody that opens that file. All right, and we go ahead and use some PMI from my original parent part. So I got a couple, looks like I do have a couple datums I could use there, and feature control frame. So I'll go ahead and add that in. All right, going to save that, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next stage. So you just basically walk through each one of these and what those stages are going to be, what you need for that information. And again, I'm going to select my stage 2 part. Go ahead and link that in. And for this operation, let's go ahead and assign some colors here. Yep, I missed my wave geometry linking file here. So, grab that one more time. Okay, so for this step, what do I need to do? I can go ahead and maybe edit the opening. So let's go ahead and change the name so it makes sense for the part here. Go ahead and delete this opening. All right, and for my grouping of faces here, my selection option here, so I'm going to go single face. Anything with equal radiuses, I can go ahead and pick those up and add that into that group. So for this particular stage, that's what that's going to look like. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and grab maybe some PMI from my design model for that opening. And I'm going to add that in. So reuse PMI from my parent part. Okay, so it did bring it in. I'm able to see that for this, so I'm going to go ahead and save that one also. And just keep working through my different views here. So I need to readjust this so I can see my stage 3 part and use that as my parent. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and delete out the selected groups for this particular stage. And I'll go ahead and grab these holes. And the reason I'm able to move around on my screen is I do have a space puck that I am using here. Okay. So for this stage, what do I want to use here? Taking a look here. All right. So let's go ahead and change. Let me see here. Design model. Any sort of dimensions I want on there. Let's go ahead and add those in. Go ahead and choose these linear dimensions and maybe thickness or height, however you want to look at it. So let's add in that view, and then I can go ahead and grab, let's see if there's any more PMI information that I need. That looks fair enough. All right, so grab a few things here and add that into that view. All right, so I'll go ahead and save that. Again, moving down to my next stage here, making that active. Let's go ahead and adjust that. So as you can see through my different stages here, I'm able to go ahead and delete out things so I get back to my original, maybe it's a sheet metal, not a sheet metal, a solid block that I'm using to build this model here. So we go ahead and link this body. Okay, and just trying to think of what I need to get rid of next. All right, so for this stage, I'll take a look at the underside here. Maybe it's something on the top side. I'm not quite sure I want to do what I want to do with this yet. So leave that as is, and I'll go ahead and make another model here. And let's go ahead and open this up. And we go ahead and link this in, adjust it so it makes sense to me. Okay. And then do some other operation inside of there too. So let's go ahead and use some synchronous to delete some features here. So I'm going to say connected. Let's get rid of these blends. And then for this next stage here, make the offset. I'm just trying to think of what I want to do here real quick. Give it an offset, 1.6, just something really quick so we can take a look at the solid that I have here. All right, and let's go ahead and group in maybe these holes that I have. So again, anything with the equal radius. So those are all green. And as I spin this around, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one because I missed it earlier. All right, so at each stage there, I can see what that model is going to look like. Some other options here that I might want, I could pull in more PMI if I wanted to. But very quickly, I'm able to get those stage models. So I really did this within a few minutes here. So let's go ahead and do one more step here. Now that I'm looking at this, delete those blends in this particular view. There we go. So that makes sense for this particular stage. All right, so I've got some offsets there that I can change. Go ahead and group that in also. Okay, pay attention to your selection options there too. You do have other things in there. Most people don't work with it very much. They usually go by what's the default, and they're fine with that. But you do have other new selection options inside of there from revision to revision. Okay. Could go ahead and bring in this PMI here too. All right. So there's my dimensions in my original view. I'm going to pull them out of that. So say this linear dimension here, change a little bit because of my offset. Okay, and then that one there, you can see that that's also changed. And maybe the because of the offset I did on the outer surface, that will also update. So it's very dynamic. If you don't have the PMI, you do have the PMI interface. It's part of your installation of NX. There is an additional license for that if you do start to use PMI. I do have some derived stock, so I'm going to go ahead and add that into my last stage model there. And just working through that dialog box, you can go ahead and modify those. I'm just going to leave it as the defaults. Let's go ahead and open that one up so we can take a look at it. So there's my stock part. So that's that block that I wanted to start with. So lots of things that you can add into your stage modeling parts here. All right, and let's take a look at this PMI just a little bit more here for the, see if there's anything I might need for this stage. So I'm going to go ahead and grab datums because I got the holes in there. I probably want those. And we'll say, okay, those look pretty good. And then I can go ahead and add that into my stock also if I wanted to. And I do want to make sure that I save this when I'm done. And then this is all in a, in this case, if you had Team Center, it would be saved in Team Center or in a folder within your file manager. So there's all my different stage modeling navigator. I can go ahead and take a look at that. Gives me information about the stage 6. And I can go ahead and adjust these windows however it makes sense to me. So just putting them in order. I'll make that my active one, and you can see over in my display the different tabs, making it active that way. You could also go back to the stage model navigator, and you can double click on one of those stages there also. So very nice little interface. So as we created the different modeling stages, there is an associative link between those different stages. So if the parent was to change in some way, that's going to propagate all the way through those 5 additional stages. So you're going to be able to define, create, and manage those stages and focus on the improving your efficiency of your parts. So you're leveraging NX, the PMI information, if you do have that license, and it's going to be able to drive rapid authoring for downstream manufacturing information on that particular stage model that you have. So stage modeling can be consumed directly in the downstream application and helps automate the manufacturing process too. So I'd like to thank you for joining the session of stage modeling, and I'll open it up to any questions.